Please listen carefully.
Well, hello, universe, and welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Kristy Jansen.
And I'm Summers McKay.
And we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, and home office-worthy podcast. Today is Wednesday, the 25th of November, 2020. Good morning, Kristy. How are you?
Good morning, Summers, and happy Thanksgiving Eve.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving Eve to you as well. November 25th is kind of a special day in my family. It was my older brother's birthday, my daughter's namesake. And so I really, as we come to this time of year, kind of remember all of those Thanksgivings as a child. We spent time skiing as a family in Colorado, and kind of every Thanksgiving involved some sort of snow-covered ski trip, even when there was not a ton of snow, and good family times. So it's a very tender day for my family, but one that we remember with great fondness.
Nice, yeah. And this is usually the day in a normal year, which 2020 certainly is anything but normal, that my collective extended family and everyone that we basically have ever known and are still in contact with is joining, starting this evening or actually starting yesterday evening, to cook the feast that we will share with our 150 closest friends, 175 closest friends. Because it's basically like a gala event where we would rent a tent and tables and do this massive cook fest. And that's not happening this year. And I'm sad. And I'm usually the one who organizes the kitchen and all of the different cooks and all the different dishes and make sure that it all runs smoothly. And so now I get to cook a meal for 5 people. It's a whole different level.
Yeah, there's a much different scale for some of us. Like, we're operating on a different scale, going from like 8 or 9 to just our household. You're going from 150 to 5.
It's
like,
really,
do your recipes even scale?
No, I mean, we're making it up as we go along. I mean, some of it is super simple. I'm a basic cook, I'm not like, I don't like things with tons of recipes, and I hate having to measure everything really closely. So I'm more about throwing it together and trying to fix it if it goes awry.
You're like Chef Louie in Little Mermaid, right? Just throwing it all in.
I suppose, yeah. It turns out pretty good, though.
Do you have a cooking plan?
Yes, we do. And I actually bought a turkey. It's like a different arrangement. It's been split open so it'll fit in our oven well. And it's been marinating. So it'll be a good cook, and that'll take 3 hours or something. So we'll get that in the oven in the morning after we make a nice heavy breakfast so that we are not ready to eat again until we have our big meal. Mm-hmm. And then once the turkey's in the oven, then we'll make all the other sides and hang out and drink hot toddies and talk about the day and what we're grateful for and just be inside.
I like it. We have kind of a split household in that my older children's mom will be doing stuffing and some sides, and she makes a great apple pie. So she's making those at her house and we'll bring them over. I already have my cranberry sauce going. I have a cranberry sauce recipe that I like, and so I started making that this morning. And we barbecue our turkey, so we have very low impact in our house. And then I think there's some mashed potatoes and maybe a mac and cheese being made. It actually should be kind of a low stress day. I think there might be a bike ride involved and perhaps some beach time with the baby. So
nice. Well, yeah, and everybody listening, hope whatever Thanksgiving plans, I hope they go off wonderfully, and that there's things to be grateful for, even if we're sad to be missing our extended clans.
Yeah. Well, we have kind of an exciting med tech day here on Optimist Daily. And it's funny because I think we're already all knocking on the door of vacation and we're having trouble getting to the meat of today's conversation. But we probably should.
Okay, so what are you going to talk about?
Optimist Daily is great. So
you go first, Summers,
okay.
today. You get to go first. What's your headline?
I will go first. My headline reads, New skin cancer vaccine could prevent melanoma from coming back. Obviously from the health section of the Optimist Daily. I love that at Optimist Daily we cover med tech and tech advances because I think it's so exciting to see the way that we are helping heal the world. In particular, for me, skin cancer is something that I am very concerned about because I have an ongoing struggle with a basal cell carcinoma from my time skiing in Colorado, as I mentioned. I have skin cancer basically at the top line where my goggles were and then under my nose and around my mouth, which I've been in treatment for years. I did have to suspend treatment while I was pregnant and breastfeeding. So I'm kind of waiting until I can get back to it. But this vaccine is not for carcinoma. It is instead for melanoma. And melanoma, if caught early, is highly curable with a 5-year survival rate. If it's not caught early, melanoma is the most highly aggressive form of skin cancer, and it is very dangerous. The key to melanoma is that it also always has a risk of coming back. This biotech company, Celldex Therapeutics, has basically designed a vaccine that prevents the returning skin cancer. It doesn't prevent it from ever coming, but it prevents it from returning by targeting the immune cells, which are called the dendritic cells, to trigger antibodies and T cells primed to then fight melanoma should it return. They were running tests out of Mount Sinai and used the base vaccine and then an additional vaccine that had ingredients that they believe would make it more powerful, an immunostimulant and a molecule called FLT3L. Long story short, it knocked it out of the park. The researchers are following up with trial participants, but the increased ingredients really made this highly, highly effective immune response. You know, it's significant for not only improving cancer vaccines, but also potentially for applications to other vaccine platforms because these additional ingredients added to the vaccine increased engagement with it so well. So I think this is great. I am always inspired by our immunologists who are out there working hard, and we know that there are a lot on the game right now.
And I think this is a super important story to highlight, especially right now when we're all focused on vaccines. And the idea that you can build a vaccine around something as pernicious as cancer, even though I think as cancer research has gone on, and I think melanoma is one of the ones that's really, there's been some incredible advances in how we treat it and address it to make it less fatal over time. And this is one of those. I have a couple of close friends who've been hit with melanoma, one of whom actually unfortunately lost his life to it. So this can't be done too quickly, in my opinion, and it will inform how we treat all different kinds of cancers. I am in awe of the medical advances that have been developing over the last decade when it comes to cancer, but even the way that they've been able to create the vaccines for the coronavirus, I'm just in awe of how quickly they were able to come up with something which seems like there's a 90% effectiveness. It's very exciting. And yes, it's all still an experimental phase, but it just bodes well for the future of this kind of medical technology. And my story also goes along with medical tech. The headline reads, algae is being used to give bioprinted tissue the oxygen that it needs. So to me, this story is really an interesting marriage of both an understanding of natural processes and these sort of science fiction, futuristic approaches to growing new tissue, which is 3D printing technology. And we talk a lot about this, and 3D printing technology has promise in so many different areas, but one of the areas that it really has promise in is in biological and medical technology. It's helped scientists to figure out how to produce biological tissue for potential organ replacements, for potential skin replacements, other kinds of body parts which could possibly be organically grown using 3D printing technology. But one of the problems with this kind of process is that the biological tissue, the cells may die before oxygen delivering blood vessels are grown into that material. The way that our living tissues are sort of fed and nourished is through the blood vessels. But when you're building something from the ground up, you need to have the tissue survive long enough for the blood to also grow. Exactly. So anyway, they have a new idea, which is using algae encapsulated within a cellulose-based bio ink. And that algae-laden bioink, and the human liver-derived cells were injected to this 3D hydrogel matrix in honeycomb-shaped patterns, and it used actually photosynthesis to create oxygen from the algae. I mean, you got to read the article because I'm going to just, mess it up trying to explain it here on the podcast. But the algae produce oxygen to keep the cells alive while producing liver-specific proteins so that it could actually build that kind. I think that was I guess they were trying to grow a liver, a baby liver.
Yeah.
And anyway, when the cells had grown enough, the bioink with the algae was removed I don't want to get into it, but it left those empty microchannels where the human vascular cells could become the blood vessels, which would keep it growing and fed as it evolved.
As far as solutions go, this actually is it's extraordinary. It's also pretty intuitive. As you're describing it, it makes perfect sense, right? Photosynthesis creates oxygen. I love the horticulturalist in me, the farmer in me. The gardener is yes, of course, use plants.
I mean, it's definitely bionic and futuristic, but it's also really fantastic. We sourced this, I think, from New Atlas. It's a really fantastic article. Go and read it. And I think we're probably coming up on our time today. Do you want to take us through the rest of the headlines today?
I'll take us through the rest of the headlines. We have a school district using solar savings to give teachers a raise. I love that. How your mind benefits from writing by hand. This is something that I'm trying to do more of, although my hands are not into it. FIFA introduces a 14-week maternity leave for female soccer players. Thank you. Well done, FIFA. The James Dyson Awards, which we love reading about. Great technology comes from these companies. But James Dyson award-winning invention produces clean energy from food waste. Drying your own herbs can be easier than you think. Let's see, what else do we have? Animals in Utah find safe passage on wildlife overpass. Love to see those building. Students from Oxford vote to ban lamb and beef from their dining halls. Tarantula venom could be used in the next-gen drugs to treat chronic pain. It is such a med tech day on the Optimist Daily. And also, there's a story about a really big dog. Oh, wait.
No. That's not.
Okay, tell us really quickly the story of the big dog, and then we'll sign off.
All right. Well, so early this morning, my husband got up and he was watching the Spanish news station. One of the stories was about this massive dog that weighs 450 pounds, and it's a poodle that just had this weird medical disorder. So as soon as I woke up, he showed it to me, and I was like, oh my God, 450-pound poodle. So then when I was starting today's rundown with Summers and Amelia, I shared this with them, and we looked it up, and it turns out the owner of this dog is actually a digital artist, and it's all made up. And I can't wait to tell my husband that he got completely hoodwinked by this 450-pound poodle, which it looks like a Clifford type of situation where this dog is sitting on his couch and anyway, it's hilarious. Wow. But it just shows how easy it is for us to be taken in by digital stories. Once you scratch the surface, you can see how they are inventions, and it's amusing. But, you have to be aware that is possible. Don't believe everything you read.
Don't believe everything you read, except for know that at the Optimist Daily, we will promise to continue to share positive solution-based stories, real ideas on how you can participate in this changing world and ensure it is changed for good. We promise to cover current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offer you the information needed most to chart new paths for all of us.
And if you have it in you, please consider becoming an emissary on the optimistdaily.com. And just for $5 a month, or there's a few other tiers as well, you can help support reader-funded independent journalism and be a part of the solution-changing consciousness that addresses our world's biggest challenges with a problem-solving mindset. Let's keep the Optimist Daily free for all who need it, supported by those who can. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with a short Thanksgiving message, but other than that, I think we're going to be off for a couple days, and talk to you then.
Enjoy, everybody. Thank you.